As the soft light of spring spills across the countryside, there's no better time to embrace a vintage-inspired refresh. In today's video, we're whisking you away to a peaceful village home, where every corner is dressed in timeless charm. Get ready to gather inspiration that speaks to your soul and celebrates the season's gentle rebirth.
Spring begins by flinging open the windows and letting the breeze carry the whispers of old times.
Vintage spring decor honors this with delicate lace curtains, embroidered valances, and old-world shutters. Every flutter of fabric feels like a conversation between the past and the present. Your front door sets the tone for the whole home. Imagine a distressed white bench with a basket of fresh tulips, an antique mirror reflecting the morning sun, and a faded floral wreath whispering welcome. Vintage entryways bloom with thoughtful touches and the light of the new season. In a peaceful village home, vintage charm begins with the bones. Weathered wood floors, whitewashed beams, and old chippy furniture. These authentic textures tell a story, setting a gentle foundation for layering in soft, nature-inspired spring touches. Vintage spring decor leans heavily into a faded pastel palette. Think worn-in pinks, buttery yellows, sage greens, and whisper blues. These colors, softened with time, feel like walking through a sun-dappled orchard after the first bloom of the season. Cottagecore aesthetics thrive in a vintage spring home. A cozy reading nook with a quilted chair, floral teacups stacked on side tables, and hand-picked wildflowers resting in crystal bud vases create an irresistible invitation to slow down and savor the season. An old oak farmhouse table becomes a stage for springtime elegance. Lace runners, mismatched floral china, silver flatware, and clusters of daffodils in vintage pitchers bring together a tablescape that's timeless and utterly enchanting. In the heart of the home, layers of linen, cotton, and faded florals take center stage. Think slip-covered sofas in cream, vintage floral pillows, and heirloom quilts casually draped over armchairs. Every element feels collected, cherished, and deeply personal. Mantels are perfect for telling a seasonal story. In a vintage spring decor scheme, we might arrange delicate porcelain bunnies, antique books, a few dripping candles, and sprigs of lilac for a serene, old-world vignette that feels lovingly curated. Spring isn't complete without a nod to Easter. Vintage homes delight in small, meaningful touches. Hand-painted wooden eggs, a wire basket filled with moss, and delicate bunny figurines that look like they've been passed down through generations. The bedrooms in a vintage village home are a true retreat. Crisp white linens, embroidered pillowcases, and an iron bed frame adorned with floral garlands evoke a quiet, nostalgic kind of springtime magic that's both restful and romantic. Nothing says vintage spring quite like faded floral patterns. Incorporate them through tapestries, framed botanical prints, and even wallpaper. These soft blooms feel like living history, breathing life and grace into every corner of the home. Spring is about bringing the outdoors in. Old watering cans repurposed as vases, galvanized buckets filled with blooms, and rustic crates used as planters bridge the gap between garden and living space, blurring the lines in the most delightful way. A true vintage home isn't afraid to mix the slightly worn with the slightly glamorous. A gilt mirror above a rough farmhouse dresser, crystal chandeliers casting rainbows over crackled walls. This blend creates a unique, lived-in elegance perfect for spring. In the kitchen, vintage finds like enamelware, gingham linens, and mason jars filled with fresh herbs set the tone. A farmhouse sink filled with lilacs and a chipped, pale blue hutch displaying weathered dishware complete the look of timeless spring joy.
Wicker and Rattan pieces bring a breezy texture perfect for spring.
An old wicker chair, a rattan basket filled with hand-woven throws, or a simple wicker footstool brings warmth and nostalgia into a modern vintage mix. Layering in vintage linens, crocheted blankets, and hand-stitched quilts adds both texture and story. Each piece feels like it holds a memory, a touch of spring from years past, lovingly stitched into the fabric of the home. Half the joy of creating a vintage spring home lies in the hunt. Flea markets, thrift stores, and estate sales offer treasures like old glass bottles, ornate picture frames, and ceramic pitchers, all perfect for crafting that collected, soulful vibe. Nothing makes a home feel truly vintage like incorporating family heirlooms. A grandmother's teacup set, a father's childhood books, or an aunt's vintage jewelry box. These small pieces create a powerful emotional thread throughout spring decorating. Scent is a huge part of seasonal decor. Fill your village home with the fragrance of fresh-cut peonies, lavender satchels tucked into drawers, and bowls of dried rose petals.
A well-placed floral scent transports you back in time with every breath.
Vintage homes thrive on beautiful views. A windowsill filled with potted herbs, climbing roses peeking through lace curtains, and a winding stone path just beyond the door. All these elements remind you that spring's real magic happens just outside. Old frames holding black and white photographs, faded botanical prints, and cross-stitch samplers create meaningful wall art. Spring Decor focuses on bringing warmth and history into your gaze at every turn, creating spaces that feel both curated and comforting. Soft, warm lighting enhances the peaceful vintage atmosphere. Think table lamps with fabric shades, candles flickering in brass holders, and fairy lights tucked into vintage bird cages. These choices celebrate the gentleness of the spring season. Even the smallest rooms deserve spring touches. In a vintage-style bathroom, clawfoot tubs, delicate floral towels, and little shelves lined with antique apothecary bottles create an old-world charm that's perfectly suited for a peaceful village life. As we wrap up, remember, vintage spring decor is about storytelling, about layering memory and beauty into your space. In a peaceful village home, spring isn't a trend, it's a way of life. Thank you for coming along on this dreamy journey with me today. Wishing you a season filled with sunshine, blooms, and timeless charm.